Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of
GETL.
My name is Hans,
I'm Edward.
and thank you so much for tuning in once again to listen to us talk about gaming, entertainment, technology, and
Lifestyle and all the things, basically.
pretty much. So, before we get into the topics we have for discussion today, I just want to take a moment to talk about how difficult getting today's episode live has been.
Yeah, it's actually pretty bad.
For those who might not know, we're currently in lockdown in South Africa. And although everything worked smoothly last week, it just so happens that this week, Edward doesn't have internet connectivity at home.
Yep.
This could be because of the cable breakages along Africa, or it could be just some other random local problem. You know, this is what it is to live in Africa.
Yeah.
Anyway, we tried a variety of things, and so far we have like a 2-bar mobile connection, and we're really hoping it holds through the rest of this episode.
Yeah. Who knew WhatsApp would come to the rescue?
I know, of all the programs.
Yeah.
So like FaceTime kept failing, and according to Edward, Messenger with Facebook takes up too much data.
It
so
takes
we're currently
so much.
video calling with WhatsApp, so we can at least see our faces and stare into each other's eyes while we do this podcast that we love so much.
And it's actually holding up this time.
Oh, and speaking of GETL, the podcast, we have reached over 100 listens.
Yeah, that's amazing for our 8th episode.
And bear in mind, that's just with Simplecast. So I haven't even looked at the metrics on Spotify or Apple Music.
Okay,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, it's thank you. Just thank you to
Yeah.
everybody who's listening. We love it. It's awesome. We're going to keep thanking you because without you listening, it doesn't give us incentive to carry on.
It boosts
is what
the
I mean.
morale.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
It keeps us going. It keeps us going.
It's nice.
You know? So speaking of things that keep us going, you have told me previously that the only reason why Thor exists is because of the Hulk.
Yeah, very recently I came across the super old interview with Stan Lee, and in it he says that if it wasn't for the Hulk, Thor would never exist in the MCU. Basically, the idea is that Hulk is the strongest being alive. Okay.
Okay.
And basically, the more angry he gets, the stronger he gets. So if you come into contact with him and you go up against him, he'll just get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yes.
So the only solution Stan Lee could think of to come around this is to introduce beings that we all know are already the most powerful, which are the gods. And
Deities, gods.
Yes, and that's why he introduced Thor and Odin into the MCU.
You know, it's fascinating that you speak about this because it kind of answers one of the questions we had from episode 5, where we spoke about how Marvel was more scientific than DC. And you actually brought up the topic of the fact that, well, how does that explain magic and the gods? Now, of course, these are fictional universes, so anything is possible. But that is just very interesting to me because it basically means that although Marvel is more scientifically accurate, because of the scientific accuracy, he had to bring in mythology.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It's super weird.
That makes me think of something else.
Yeah.
How we also spoke about the number 13.
Yeah.
And how that was significant for Christianity, but more so because it's also significant in Norse mythology, where Loki was the 13th character. Remember the number 13?
Oh, yeah.
If anyone's interested about that, definitely check out episode 5. It was very, very interesting. And I love the fact that we can actually speak about these things now again and how that it all sort of comes together. So I think it's really cool that Stan Lee took elements of, I guess, somewhat realistic mythology and brought it into his scientifically accurate universe in order to make it more real?
Yeah, to explain something that was scientific to begin with.
That cannot be explained.
Yeah, basically.
As well, right?
Yeah, basically.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, when you bring in fiction to explain something real.
I dig that. And you know what this makes me think of as well? And of course, I'm going into the next topic straight from this, is science fiction, right? Now, in our world, a lot of modern technologies are inspired by science fiction works.
Yeah.
Like my dad will often talk to me about Dick Tracy and how the guy had a watch that you could phone on. And now I literally have an Apple Watch that I can make calls from.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how science fiction can often inspire real world technologies.
Yeah.
Now, I say this because I am a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica. And if I could get a Cylon to love me, I totally would.
Okay.
And if anybody has watched the show, you will know who the red woman who I'm talking about. She is just beautiful. And the future is bright for me. So the reason why I'm also bringing up Battlestar Galactica is because SyFy have actually made the entire series. And now bear in mind, I'm talking about the new imagining of Battlestar Galactica. So not the old 60s, 70s show, but the actual 2000s show is available for everybody to watch. And I'm so glad about this because it remains one of my all-time favorite sci-fi series.
I wasn't aware that there was a reimagining.
Oh, so you didn't know?
No. Okay, so stone me if you will, but I didn't like Battlestar Galactica. Like, never did. I was a Stargate guy myself.
Okay, but you're talking about the old original series,
See,
right?
I never knew there was a new one.
No, I'm talking about the reimagined 2000 series.
Okay. So it was a total reboot.
A total reboot, yeah.
Wow,
and I can honestly tell you that it is phenomenal. From the writing, the story, the acting. It's just an incredible show. Now, I haven't seen it in many years. And now that I'm speaking about it, I'm kind of wondering, maybe I should make the time to binge it again during the lockdown because it really was phenomenal. And I was sad when it ended. But, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah. If you are going to binge it, though, I hope you have the box set because this is not available locally.
Oh, of course it isn't.
Unfortunately.
I actually did have the box set. That was originally how I watched the show because back in the day, before the proliferation of broadband internet, I used to buy all my DVDs from Amazon because I couldn't buy them locally. So I actually did have the collection once upon a time. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I implore anybody out there, if anyone hasn't seen the new reimagining of Battlestar Galactica, to do yourself a favor because I imagine that if that new show had been aired today, I think it would have been immensely popular because at the time it was very much ahead of the curve. They dealt with topics that nobody else dealt with back then. And it actually was quite controversial at the time. And I believe that today, I still think it's culturally and socially relevant. And yeah, everyone should try and watch it.
That's super cool.
Well, look, speaking about free TV, you mentioned something about HBO?
Yeah, I was about to lead into that. So just like how SyFy made the entire Battlestar Galactica free for not us, HBO have unlocked 500 hours of free content. Also not for us. But
what is, thank you,
HBO.
So for all of the people who are listening who are from the United States of America, I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, enjoy.
But for us in South Africa, this news is just awful because
sad.
All we can do is read it and wish. Now, we're not sponsored by anyone, not yet anyway, but I literally received an email in my inbox yesterday about Getflix. And they're currently having I think 60 or 70% off special on their DNS. And it works exceptionally well. Now, I bought a lifetime subscription several years ago, and it works for everything except for Netflix. But if you do sign up for their subscription packages, it also works with Netflix. So you can access US Netflix if you want. Now, of course, I'm not advocating for anyone out there to use a DNS to try and access content that is deemed illegal. You can't see me doing air quotes, but I'm doing them. Because of the rules and regulations of the states, it is technically illegal to access them. But whatever you do in your free time is up to you. And if you happen to get this DNS, then so be it.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there.
It's a good thing to use for if you need to hide your browsing data from the evil government. That's it. That's the excuse we'll use.
And if anyone is curious about the promo code, it's last call and the number 70, and it'll give you 70% off. Now, I'm just mentioning this because I saw the deal and I figured, why not talk about it? I don't care if I'm not getting anything from it.
One day we'll tell you, dear readers, that the code is GETL or something 700. That'll be amazing. I just wish I could watch The Sopranos again, without going through back alleys.
Do you know that I've never seen The Sopranos?
It's so good.
I've heard good things about it.
It's very, very good. If you like gangster type stuff, but like the real gangster type stuff, not the Hollywood flash, The Sopranos is really good.
Okay, cool. So we've spoken about services online in America that have free stuff, but something I wanted to bring up quickly as well is ShowMax.
Oh, okay.
I've said it before, and I know you agree with this as well. It really is one of the best value for money services in South Africa, locally.
Yeah.
I mean, it allows you to watch a lot of like HBO shows and a lot of other imported series, often sometimes a day after airing abroad, right?
Yep. Sometimes equal. So...
Yeah, immediately, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I just wanted to bring it up because there's a brand new ShowMax original which just came out. It's called Rage. It's a horror film.
Okay.
Last week I mentioned about how we had preview access, and I watched it last weekend, and I have been waiting to speak about it on the podcast.
Okay. Let me know. Hit me with the facts.
Avoid.
Okay, so the tiny bit I've seen about it, it looks like a slasher. Is it a slasher?
Listen. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I really don't know what they were going for because it's it's beautifully shot. I mean, for a large part of the movie, it looks like an art house film.
Okay.
There's some really great exposition in terms of like the scenery and on characters' faces and what happens to them and so on and so forth. But it's so disjointed and often gross for the sake of being gross that, you're just left like sitting there going, what the hell? Like, what is actually happening? What is going on here? Like, what is the purpose of this cult that these kids have accidentally roped themselves in?
Yeah.
So like nothing is ever explained. And
it's all
when it is, it's just unbelievable. As in, these are supposed to be matric kids, and yet the one lady ends up spewing out scientific fact like she's a third-year varsity student.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, no.
She's the token nerd, I guess.
No, she was actually a really badass character. I've got to say, she was great. In terms of like acting, I also have to say that it left a lot to be desired, not from all of the actors, but there were a few where you're just like watching and you're like, oh, no, and the other ones were really good, but it was also a little bit hammy. And I presume it's because it was meant to be a horror, but it actually wasn't scary. And like I said, it was gross for the sake of being gross. And I actually ended up laughing a lot of the time because of how ridiculous it was.
It's all about shock value.
No, but it wasn't even shocking. It was just like, this is happening. And then I ended up laughing about what was going on because it was just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kind of like Saw, but Saw knows that it's meant to be ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it became super self-aware.
Whereas this film was being really serious.
And
I think maybe that's why it was so funny to me, because it was taking itself really seriously, but it was just so badly done.
Yeah.
And I don't want to really like trash it too much. But honestly, like, I know we're all in lockdown, but you know what? There's an hour and a half of your time you're not going to get back if you watch this film. Or rather, if you do, watch it in a very humorous mood. Maybe smoke a joint or something and enjoy, because...
Well, if rather watch Friday the 13th or something. What you saying?
Or anything, really.
Well, I believe DSTV recently made a bunch of their channels free for many... not for subscribers, for people that can download the DSTV Now app. I believe they can. Yeah.
So it's not just for people who have, well, I guess a DSTV decoder. So it's for anybody.
Yeah. Well, the DSTV Now has been a product of its own for a little while now. But now,
can you ever get it to work? Because I'll be honest with you. Like, I mean, you know what? Good for you, MultiChoice, for trying to do something here. But without fail, because I know this because my mother likes The Bachelor. Now, without fail, every single time we try to boot up DSTV Now during prime time, and I basically mean any time after 5 p.m., it just doesn't work.
I don't know. Like, I watch my sport, obviously, on DSTV, and I usually use the Now app on Xbox for that. On the
okay.
iPad, I also use to use TV Now, but very rarely compared to on Xbox. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's been working, at least whenever I did
Well,
watch.
consider yourself lucky, Edward.
Yeah.
Look. On the topic of things that we can get for free, I think what you were leading to is that with your Xbox, Xbox Live Gold has free
Oh,
games. I mean,
yeah.
okay, look, they happen monthly. We know this,
Yes.
but you mentioned something about local, something
Yes.
locally specific.
So talking about VPNs and stuff, at least you don't need one for this. Did you know that obviously Xbox Live Gold, they give 3 to 4 free games a month? Okay. Did you know that those games are sometimes localized to certain regions?
I am aware.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for instance, this month, instead of Project Cars, you get As Divine Hearts in Japan. So,
Okay.
so I think As Divine Hearts is an RPG. It's a Japanese RPG. It has English built into it. So just to make you aware.
Okay. So how should people redeem this?
So basically, you can redeem both Project Cars and As Divine Hearts if you just go to the Japanese store on your browser or whatever and log in and redeem it from there. As long as you
It's that
obviously have
easy?
Xbox Live, it's literally that easy. And obviously, if you have a browser that translates for you, like I use Microsoft Edge, but I know Chrome does it too. It translates for you. I could read everything in English. I could redeem it easy. And
Did you do it? You
yeah,
redeemed it?
yeah. So now I have Project Cars and
That's
As Divine
phenomenal.
Hearts. And
I was under the impression you might have needed like Japanese billing info.
no, not at all. I thought I
So
had
this
to change
works?
my country region, which I wouldn't do because
Yeah.
that's a schlep. Um,
Yeah.
no, it's all good.
So
I have the RPG downloading
you,
now. Well,
you
not
just
now.
went to Xbox.com, but Japan,
Yeah,
logged in
.co.jp, I
with
think.
your credentials,
Yeah.
and redeemed it.
Well, I already had the store link, .co.jp, I think. I'm not sure. I have the store links bookmarked. So I
Okay,
just go
awesome.
directly to the store on that region to check which games are free.
Okay, well, look,
And
if
yeah.
any of you out there listening are curious to try this, I'll link this in the show notes.
Yeah.
So just click on it. It'll take you straight to the Japanese store.
Mhm.
Just sign in. And as Edward said, use either Chrome or Edge to auto-translate, and boom,
Yeah.
new game.
There you go.
Hey?
And well,
That's
even
awesome.
even if you don't translate, just click the big blue button. That's usually the get button, and you'll know if it charges you or not. But it doesn't. I promise.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, look, on the topic of video games, I actually saw something else that was pretty interesting. And
Mhm.
I want to speak about it because it's an unusual move. I mean, we've spoken about Microsoft and Sony in the past.
Yeah.
And we're still getting to that bonus episode. We obviously, it's challenging during the lockdown to really get these things in place, but hopefully in the near future. Now, Microsoft is taking a very unique approach to video games for the Xbox service, where Sony and Nintendo are still boxing people in to the console and their services. Microsoft is really opening things up. So one of the more recent changes is their online multiplayer game Sea of Thieves,
Mm-hmm.
which is available as on Game Pass, Microsoft Store. It's multiplayer for Xbox and PC. It's now coming to Steam. And this is following the release of Halo on Steam.
That's so weird.
I think it's phenomenal.
That,
Honestly.
so, okay, so we know Microsoft, they don't care about doing the whole unique thing. They're all about the players. They want as many players at once to play the game. But putting an Xbox game, a fundamentally Microsoft game, on Steam, that's so weird to me.
Well, the thing is, this is not the first time.
Mhm.
And I think it's part of a larger strategy. In other words, you know, let's take a game that people thoroughly already enjoy. I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of Sea of Thieves. You know this.
Yeah.
I will often play online with, some friends and family of mine, and we'll do the tall tales, and we'll just sail the seas and get drunk. Not in real life, I mean in the game.
Maybe in real life
And
too.
It's honestly just good fun, though. And I think by bringing that to Steam, you're just opening up the audience. Now I'm genuinely curious to see how this is going to work as well. As in, will the game have sort of Xbox Live components built in? Like, will a Steam player be able to play with Xbox players and PC players?
See, that's what I'm curious about. Like, how will they connect to Xbox players? I reckon the game will ask you for your Microsoft login.
Yes, I think so as well.
Either way, this is a good move. It's a very good move.
It's great. It's great. It also just again speaks to the different way of thinking that Microsoft has for gaming in general versus Sony and Nintendo. Microsoft is really exploring all avenues and putting their games on a variety of platforms so that you, as a Xbox gamer, have the freedom to play wherever you want versus just being stuck to a console. Now, Nintendo is still steadfastly being Nintendo, where they're not budging, they're just sticking to their consoles. Mm-hmm. Sony, on the other hand, they're slowly starting to loosen their grip, as in we know that Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn are both coming to PC later this year, which is a very interesting move because both of those games were PlayStation 4 exclusives.
Yes.
We did speak about this in a previous episode about how Sony fanboys are upset about it. That aside, it is a good move. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, it's not as good as Microsoft's. And by that, I just mean, if I own Sea of Thieves on Xbox, I can already play it on PC.
Yes.
Whereas with Sony's model, you'll have to buy the game on PC after already owning it on PlayStation.
Yes.
So it's a little bit different, but at least it's somewhat in the right direction.
So, like, imagine running around in Halo and that finally coming to Sony one day.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would be down for that.
Like, imagine if Microsoft came out on the stage and said, oh, this is Halo Infinite, it's a launch title, and by the way, releasing on PS5 as well.
But you need a Game Pass subscription.
Oh, nah, that'll be super scummy, I dare say.
Okay, look, no. They're not going to do that. So the way that Microsoft will work is because they're very much moving in a services direction.
Yeah.
So if you were to ever play an Xbox developed title somewhere else, it would be through something like Game Pass. It wouldn't be as a separate, unique purchase. I'm talking about now like on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation. I'm not talking about PC. PC is a different beast. Releasing it on Steam is not the same as releasing it on your competing platform.
But why would you need a Game Pass? Even though you're a PS5 player.
No, but this is what I'm saying. So look at Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Game Pass for PC, for Xbox, as well as Xbox Live Gold.
Yes.
Right? It's all in one neat subscription. But it also includes xCloud, which is the forthcoming streaming service from Microsoft, which means that you can either stream your games from your console or you can stream games directly from the cloud from Microsoft's servers.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of a service could potentially be put on any platform, meaning if Nintendo was open to it, you could have that service on your Nintendo Switch.
You mean like a Project xCloud app, and then you play their games via that?
Yes, that's kind of what I'm getting to. So it's not Microsoft saying, "Oh, Halo's now available on PlayStation."
Yeah,
it's more like if you have a PlayStation, you can subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate and have access to our online titles. But of course, again, that is very much wishful thinking. Because Sony and Nintendo, in my opinion, wouldn't allow it because it'll then cannibalize their gaming shares. Because then it's a Microsoft subscription on their box.
I get that.
You see?
I get that.
Of course, you never know what the future holds, but this is ideally where Microsoft is moving towards, which is why I think having games on Steam doesn't cannibalize that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You see?
I see. I get
because
that now.
PC is different. PC is a little bit different versus other platform holders. Speaking of games, The Last of Us 2 and Marvel's Avengers in VR have been indefinitely delayed because of COVID-19.
Yeah, it's sad news, but basically Sony, Interactive Entertainment, came out and said that they can't promise to release the game in the way they wanted. And the way
You know what this is? This is just them bitches, okay, who like to buy hard copies of stuff.
Pretty much, exactly.
Okay, this be 2020, y'all. If you're not downloading your games, you're doing life wrong. Okay?
Exactly.
Please. Honestly. So now the all digital fellas like us can't get the games because y'all need physical copies.
Yeah. Like
you know who you are.
You need physical copies, and you need some statues or some whatever to go with it, you know?
Okay, look, obviously, we're saying a lot of this in jest, but it is the truth, though. So these games and many others throughout the year, which I'm sure announcements will be made, are being delayed because despite games being available online, there is still a very large part of the market that buys games physically.
Yeah.
And to not have that available means it cannibalizes into sales and to profits. So therefore, rather delay it for everyone than trying to force people to download their games instead.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's coming down to.
It's still sad. Like, these are big titles that people wanted to play. Speaking of playing...
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
So the World Health Organization, guess what they said?
I know what they said.
No,
after years of telling people that video games are bad for your health.
Yeah, and that video gaming addiction is a real thing, like literally just a few months ago.
They have done a huge 180 pivot.
Yeah.
And are saying, no, staying at home and playing games is good for your health. Yeah, no, duh. Okay?
Yeah, basically, they want everyone to stay home, okay? We all want everyone to stay home to flatten the curve. And...
Correct.
They are urging people to play video games, regardless of the fact that they think gaming addiction is a real problem.
As gamers, we've known the truth about gaming for a long time.
Yeah.
Look, anything can be addictive, okay? If you allow it to be, or if you have an addictive personality. With that said, as somebody who did a master's thesis in the topic of video games from a social sciences perspective, particularly with regards to the benefits of video games, it's about damn time that the WHO get on board.
Yeah.
Okay? Because anyone who knows anything about video games, especially academics, and I'm going to hesitate to say it, like myself, know that there are far more positives to playing video games than there are negatives. The stereotype of video gaming being mostly negative really needs to come to an end now, because it's absurd. From hand-eye coordination to puzzle solving and other mental acuities, as well as socializing and forming relationships and camaraderie online, there are just so many more benefits to playing games than there are negatives.
Yeah. I totally get that obviously you can get addicted. Personally, I lost many hours of my life to MapleStory, MMO back in the day. I don't know if it's still on. And I was addicted. I lost grades because of that. But even then, I think gaming still helped me. It helped me learn typing. It helped me learn English. It made me more aware of the internet, the whole culture, the internet culture and meme culture and all that. I learned that from a game. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, not the addiction.
Yeah, not the addiction. But so we get that addiction is a thing. But to finally have the WHO come out and say that, listen, maybe playing games isn't all that bad. Just do yourself a favor and do it. That's a great step in the right direction.
So yeah, it's really good that people are finally starting to see that, especially from a perspective of not only the benefits, like the actual physical benefits that you can get from gaming, but also the way that it allows you to think and how gaming is an art form. So look at a game like Hellblade, right? Senua's Sacrifice, which is getting a sequel in Xbox Series X. That game is actually incredible because it deals with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And it uses gaming as a platform for bringing awareness to that kind of disease, which most other art forms don't necessarily get the opportunity to do. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I want to segue into something else now. But Hellblade uses audio in a phenomenal way. And I have to mention that because I just want to know from you, have you ever heard of Soundaktor? And I probably said that in a totally wrong accent.
I have not. Like, the first time you sent me this blurb is the first time I've ever heard of it.
I think it's Soundaktor. No, I'm saying it in the
I think it's Soundaktor.
That might be a bit
it's
better.
German.
And essentially, it means sound actuator.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I want to speak about this is because I found it truly fascinating. And it all has to do with the fact that most modern vehicles actually have a dedicated speaker system in the car to make the car's engines sound louder. And the reason why this has taken place is because of technological innovation. Engines have obviously become more efficient.
Yeah.
And a more efficient engine is quieter.
Yeah.
Now, people like to hear the sounds of engines. And a lot of the times when people sit in a car and test drive it, they like to hear the sound because obviously the louder the engine, the faster the vehicle. And they did some research and statistics and found that I think it was over 30% of the sound of an engine is attributed to how fast somebody thinks a vehicle is.
Yeah.
And this is why these Soundaktor, whatever the word is, has been implemented. And it's a means of boosting engine sounds.
So all I'm thinking is Pimp My Ride. And one specific episode way back, I can't even remember how old that show is, but I remember Exhibit going up to someone and explaining to them what the sound system they put into the car, which would make their little, I think it was a Honda Civic or whatever, sound like a Lambo or like a Nissan GTR and a Skyline. And this is basically that, I assume, which is weird.
So in many ways, that's correct.
Yeah.
But it's not to be confused with the speaker systems for electric vehicles, for example. So there's two audio systems, or rather 3 audio systems that most cars use. There's one that's inside, obviously just for you to listen to. There's this Soundaktor thing, which makes the engine seem louder and faster, or gives the perception of being faster because it sounds louder. Inside, you're bigger. And then there's a third one, which are speakers outside of vehicles, mostly for electric vehicles, so that pedestrians can hear cars coming, because electric cars are near silent.
That's a good point. I remember back when I was a lowly pizza delivery guy, I had to loan my dad's car because my car went in for a service. Someone bumped me. And my dad had the electric RAV, or not the RAV, the electric Aurus at the time, and no one would hear me in the streets. And I and I used to deliver in a busy neighborhood, very busy. The streets was always, people were always walking everywhere, and I would always have to hoot for people to get them out of the way. And it's so weird.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
So there we go. So that is Soundaktor, which is basically making cars sound better to make them feel faster. And that's different to normal audio in a car, or audio so that you can hear cars coming.
And it's so weird.
Eh?
Like, I'm a car guy and I didn't know about this. So today I learned something new. So that's pretty cool.
Well, on GETL, we aim to please.
Yeah, definitely. Learning with GETL.
Well, there we go. We've reached the end of episode 8.
Yeah.
That actually went really well. Well, at least I hope it did.
Yeah, like...
given the trouble we had earlier.
Yeah. I've only had like 1 or 2 poor connection messages come up throughout this entire thing, which is great. So,
look, overall it's been okay, although they can't hear it because we're actually recording our audio separately and then we're going to sync it up later.
Yes.
But I have actually struggled to hear him every now and again.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it'll all work out.
Yeah, it should.
But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode of GETL.
Yeah, it was great.
And yeah, it's episode 8. We have well over 100 and I think it's 100 and something downloads now already. Thank you so much for the support. We hope you'll continue listening, and we look forward. Oh, and also, please, we hope you're keeping safe wherever you are in the world.
Yes, please do.
During this lockdown period. You know, just stay safe, look after yourselves, and for next week's episode, we'll be back with even more information about what you can do during lockdown.
Cool.
To keep yourselves busy.
Yes.
It's sort of an extension of what we spoke about last week, if for those of you who did listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. So, from me... have a wonderful week ahead. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely one.